Well, let's touch on that Sungate point. Why just for the fairness of it all, just name them?
Well, Clive Britton has come out.
Yes, he has.
He was been slightly involved. Well, the BHA would say they've been not guilty of any offence that is punishable. In other words, they've not been put up like...
But the loophole had been changed, right?
Yes, and all that kind of thing. So they've not actually been found guilty in any tribunal or any court or any hearing. So they would say you can't name people when they've not even been charged or convicted. So that's what they would say. It is a very difficult thing because none of us really understand. You know, what you can give to horses, how you can help them. But it's the difference. What Butler was doing was so grotesque.
That's the key point. The drugs regulations are very complex.
Yes,
they are very complex. And the man in the street can see it's very simple. You give a horse drugs or you don't. But it's not that clear. Sungate is not a banned substance as such.
It's to help cure horses and to try and help.
And one of the horses at the time was not running for a period of some 18 months.
Yeah. But should we be opening up? Should the BHA be opening up its doors on more of these investigations to allay the fears of the betting public, in particular the betting public, the people that actually fund the sport? Apart from the owners, there are two great integers in British racing are the punters, the people in the betting shops, and the owners. They're the two great issues. Should the British Horse Racing Authority, when we have investigations like this, be more frank and transparent with regard to investigation like this and explain to everybody more clearly what's going on instead of an ubiquitous press release that comes out after the event, which doesn't seem to satisfy anybody.
You could ask for open justice. For years and years I've been saying the BHA inquiries and the Jockey Club in the old days should be in public. Now, it's difficult. Are the British Medical Councils, all the lawyers, do they hold things in council? This should be in council. Public money is involved here because nearly everybody has a bet. So it should be in public. That would open it up. One of the things against it is, of course, that people wouldn't say the same thing if they knew the public were watching. But that's the same as in courts of law. They're open to the public, so it should be open. But in fairness to the BHA, they can't announce stories about inquiries unless people are charged and brought before them. They can't say, we've had an inquiry, we're holding an inquiry, we don't quite know what's happening.
But how much do they say after the inquiries are adjudicated?
That they bring them, that they bring the...
Jeff and John, we're going to have to move on because we've got so much to cover.
Get on with it!
Timmy Murphy.
Yeah, you've waffled on with No, but listen, no. Talk about BetRacingNation. I saw a couple of them out there fighting just now.
Yeah.
Now, in an office, in a pub, in a club, wherever you work, if people have a scrap, what penalty do you give? The fight wasn't in public. Clearly, it was in the weighing room. Timmy Murphy's shoulder is dodgy anyway, and he put it out when throwing a punch. He's got 9 days. He
misses the right of King George.
He can't come back for a month anyway because of the shoulder.
Yeah.
So that doesn't matter. So, but it is a far bigger question. What do you do with people who do have a fight right in so many other jobs, and it wasn't in public? It's a difficult call.
Who cares, Pete?
No.
I mean, who cares?
Let's talk about the nitty-gritty stuff then.
Let's talk about
non-story.
If it's not in public, let them be competitive with each other. These are two jockeys, Dominic Ellsworth and Timmy Murphy, who don't clear up on British racing like Tony McCoy.
Fair enough.
And it wasn't like Fallon who pulled Webster off a horse at Beverley.
That's a great one, yeah.
It's good fun.
It wasn't, so that was in public.
It's good fun.
Yeah, well, that wasn't after Webster. That was in public. Here was something behind the scenes. What do you do?
Can we talk about something else with the BHA today? The 3-month banning of Stephen Arnold and Brown Pete, which relates not to the incident this week, as far as I'm aware, but happened last year. What is this about backing and laying horses, Billy?
Yeah, basically it's not legal to lay your own horses to lose on exchanges, which Stephen Arnold was guilty of doing. It's not that clear-cut again. The intention of the rule is to stop owners laying their own horses when they know they're not going to win a race. That's the intention of the rule. This is more complicated. Stephen Arnold's case was that he would lay horses on the exchanges in order that the bookmakers would push prices out, then have a nice bet with the bookmakers, and then close his Betfair bet off. So
what do you think of that kind of...
Look, I mean, clearly, it's very easy these days in morning price markets to manipulate the exchange, and that's all he did. At the end of, look, I have to face up to the gambles that approach my business from one day to the next. I accept that, but that's just business and whatever.
Do you lay off?
No, not a penny. I'm afraid. Sorry, I don't hedge.
Right.
But the bottom line is that the amounts of money that was involved with Stephen Arnold was risible. It was a tiny amount of money. He was able to affect the market with £57. So a sense of perspective here. It was fine. I accept the principle that owners should not be laying their own horses. I absolutely accept that's completely right. That is the right way for British racing to go. Absolutely, I support that. But at the end of the day, I think common sense has prevailed here. 3-month ban is very, very small.
No.
I think common sense has prevailed. It was £57 and £62.
No.
John, it's less than you spend on a round of drinks.
This is not a question of principle. This is a question of you cannot lay your own horse. No going to make excuses, I was only covering my margins and all that kind of thing. It's absolutely, they cannot make exceptions. Owners cannot, rightly so, lay your horses to lose. That's what they say.
But the point was, it wasn't laying it to lose.
It is, and other bets they've had backing them to win, whatever it is, the fact they've got to be backing, not principle, not 57 quid. No owner should ever lay their own horse to lose, period. And well done for the BHA for standing up against it.
I'm actually more on Jeff's side. I think at the end of the day,
you always are, you softie.
So he should be.
When the race is off, he was not a layer of his horse.
It doesn't matter. No, it's a little one.
Jeff,
Calm down.
Jeff, let's go to you first. You heard all those points.
Well, let me answer the easiest one, which is like the 6th and the 7th. That's now outlawed. Let's be absolutely clear. That is now outlawed. I work very hard with like-minded colleagues, and let's be fair to the on-course bookmakers. The on-course bookmakers, unilaterally, nobody has challenged us. They have all gone on board and made sure that there are standards, each-way standards, place standards are now universal in all our racetracks.
Not the same as you can get in betting shops.
Not absolutely the same.
But that can't be right. That you
John,
go off course to a betting shop and get better value than on course give you with the bookmaker.
John, less than 3% of the races are 16-runner handicaps, between 16 and 21-runner handicaps. I mean, we can barely get a...
The big betting races, as far as the public is concerned, are those big handicaps.
No, sorry, under Bittar's auspices, most of our races are 4- and 5-runner races. I mean, at the end of the day, 16 to 21-runner handicaps is 3 or 4% of the programme, and that is the only contentious issue. In order to move this on, what I've worked with my colleagues, with like-minded and sensible colleagues, is let's get to a situation where the majority of races follow the betting shop code. That's where we've got to right now. In the future, we can sort of, if the situation improves for on-course bookmakers, we can move fully to engaging with not just 16 to 21 runner handicaps, but more, even more.
No, it's a euphemism. If things improve for on-course bookmakers, that means they're making even better profits than they are now. That's all that means.
I've watched Question Time too. I've watched Parliament too.
And in fairness to Jeff Banks, he has been leading the way among his colleagues to try and bring this anomaly, which was disgusting to people. And what the bookmakers on course have been relying on, most of the punters there on the bigger days don't really know. They come racing once a day, they're socialising, they go up, they go up.
Allow me to make this one important...
I want Billy to say something.
Because this is one important point. The punters have to recognise, this is a key point, the punters have to recognise that they are responsible to themselves. And I have stood next to bookmakers at Glorious Goodwood, and I have offered a quarter of the odds of the first 4, and the bookmaker a quarter of the first 5. And the bookmaker next door to me has bet a fifth the first 4, and the same prices, I've made sure that my prices are exactly the same, and the customers are visiting us equally. They're not favouring me over them particularly.
That's the key point. They're going racing for a day out, they're a day of enjoyment. Yes. They're not serious gamblers. They don't know what they're looking at. They don't know what 130 means. They don't know what 3 to 1 is. They don't understand the place odds.
It's Burlington Bertie.
It is. I think it is.
I'm absolutely on the
side. I think it is.
But in the outside world, outside of racing, there are protection for consumers. The laws are that consumers don't know the value, they don't know the price, this and the other, and there are laws to protect from them being exploited. And bookmakers were above this law as far as punters were concerned. No good saying the punters don't understand. All right, they don't understand. But should they become real experts in betting before they're going racing?
What about the G4, 4G, I should say, phones?
The Wi-Fi?
The Wi-Fi.
Well,
are you going to be dead in 5 years?
It's a complex. So first of all, let's deal with the red herring that you can walk onto a race racetrack and use your app and bet away and whatever. It just doesn't happen. You
It
walk
will
to the
happen.
racetrack
It
with any
will
more than
happen.
3 people, and Vodafone, O2, T-Mobile are not delivering you with the data service. So let's deal with that. That's just a red herring. And 4G, 5G, 10G won't make any difference. It's about the bandwidth. So let's do it. And as far as going forward is concerned, you need to make a choice. We all need to make a choice as to whether we would like to see an the vibrant on-course market on our racetracks or not. We need to make a choice. And if we do make that choice, if you do decide, if you are the type of customer that's out there and sort of says to yourself, well, I want to see racecourse bookmakers, the vibrancy, the interaction, the marketplace right in front of my racetrack when I go betting, then you need to pay for it. You need to be prepared to pay for it, and not a lot.
But it isn't a vibrant market, because we all know when Betfair brings a horse in, or BetDAC even bring up a horse in your price, the on-course bookmakers follow it.
They do.
So you only have to watch.
They do.
Yeah.
They do.
John, please.
Absolutely. He's right. John
I
is
used
spot
to
on.
work with Channel 4, and I was working with a female Tanya Stevenson, and she was linked up to Betfair. Always I knew that horse was going to shorten up, because
Yeah.
Betfair,
John,
he's
no
right,
horse
he's right.
is virtually ever bigger with you lads and girls on the course, is ever big with you compared to Betfair.
Oh, John, please, not
It's
everybody wants to have £10 on a horse.
No,
I mean,
it's
some people want to have a reasonable bet. If they want to have a reasonable bet, if you look at Betfair and BetDAC, they're both aligned,
Right, yeah,
and you
but
don't want to have a decent bet, and if you want to have, say, just £100 on a horse, then you won't achieve
Billy,
the top of the market.
Billy,
Sorry, if you want to be
You
fair,
run them down,
A fiction.
but you are lackeys to what they do.
John, let's talk to a man of sense.
if
Billy.
you want to be fair to the people on course, you need to not shorten everything at the front of the
Well, they do.
market and not lengthen anything.
they do.
Just bring the SP price
But that's
higher and
one
higher.
of the biggest scandals there
It
is in the
is.
whole of racing.
It is.
But is the way they've changed the system about 4 or 5 years ago of compiling the SPs.
Yep.
Because they narrowed the actual choice, the range of choice that you can get. That's why whenever you see the last show, very often 2 or 3 horses are shortened up.
Yeah.
All the way through they're being shortened up. That's not the bookmaker's fault. It's because of the sample that's taken on the course. Absolutely, I've appealed, I've fought against it, because racing loves it. We've got this awful, disgusting business in racing that the British Horse Racing Authority, who run the game, want the bookmakers to win and the punters to lose. That is, how can you be an impartial arbiter of what's going on in the sport to look after your customers? Because if bookmakers win, there's more money in the levy.
I'm not going to sit here and listen to you talk about why the punter should win all the
Jeff,
time. John,
Jeff,
no.
I'm not going to sit here all the time.
I'm going to have to
I
go
mean, at the
over
end
to Tom, but do you have 30-40% overround?
That's ridiculous overround. I mean, I wish
in
I could.
in Ireland,
I
they
wish
do.
I could. I wish I could.
In Ireland,
But they don't lay all these 20-1 chances,
Right.
21
Is your
chances that
opening
you're
show?
talking
Is your
about.
opening show less overround than your end show?
yes, you're right.
Never.
It will be always.
No. Sorry. So the overround on the opening show. The 99.8% of all customers on British racecourses bet to a price. They take a price on the board. To talk about SPs on British racecourses as if like a customer that walks on a racetrack.
The same thing
Hold
applies.
on a second, Billy.
Okay.
To say that, to try to argue that they're getting some kind of a raw deal.
What about
is a
betting shop
fiction.
customers? They take bets at SP. Most of them, the Yankees, the doubles, the trebles, they're nearly all at SPs, and they're being ripped off by this.
Well, they're not, if you say they're being ripped off, we need to look at the SP Regulatory Committee.
Yeah.
That's what we
It's
need
not
to be
because
looking
the
at.
racing wants it. They want the bookmakers to win.
I can assure you that most of the returns from British racecourses from British bookmakers when you go on the racetrack are not representative.
No,
They're
hold on for a minute. Don't listen to your director.
Not representative of the
let's
game.
get this clear. I was one of the ones who brought in the change about 10 years ago, and the phrase that I invented and was actually picked up by the people who did it was the price available to good money at the off. Now, good money means different, let's say, at Plumpton compared to Royal Ascot or Cheltenham. We know that. So what price would you take as a customer, as a punter, as the flag goes up, would you take? That's the price that should be returned. Not with one bookmaker doing it, I fully accept that, but the price that you would take on the course. That's not the system they're using now. What they're using now is having a different sample, and the punters are being ripped off who take starting price.
Okay.
And it's no good trying to disguise it. And racing wants it and are doing nothing to protect the punters, their customers.